Zimbabwe has a lot of potential. I've known some of the people who are living there who are very intelligent, and they tell me that this is a very beautiful country but faces a lot of challenges. One of them being the currency stabilization of that nation. And it's been very difficult for Zimbabweans and the Zimbabwean government to find a stable currency. And this is another attempt here on my screen, all about the ZiG. The Zimbabwean gold has been introduced back in April. But now I've been tracking it to see its performance, and things have not been going too well for the ZiG thus far. All about the ZiG, Zimbabwe's latest shot at a stable currency. As you can see here, we have this article that reads from Harare, Zimbabwe's sixth attempt in 15 years. Sixth attempt. Can you imagine? In 15 years, you are trying 6 times to find a stable currency. Because their currency was always the Zimbabwean dollar. And they've been changing it. And their latest now is the Zimbabwean gold. But they still refer to it as Zimbabwean gold, but they still add that dollar at the end of it. I think if they just got rid of it, of the dollar word, and they just stay independent and just try to be original and use that gold that they have. I think Zimbabwe is a rich nation. I think they have a lot of potential, like most African countries. Zimbabwe's 15 years to establish a national currency is already running in trouble. The ZiG, short for Zimbabwean gold, was launched in April to replace the crumbling Zimbabwean dollar, which crumbled, which failed dramatically, and was backed up by gold and foreign currency reserves. Okay. However, the skepticism of new currency as a reliable store of value has hampered its adoption. The government was forced to devalue the ZiG by 43%, guys. Can you imagine that? And I do believe when it started off, it was much better off. It was even stronger than the rand at some point. This year, it was stronger than the rand, the ZiG, when it launched. Okay. In late September, and it slid further in subsequent weeks before eventually steadying. The episode revived painful memories of past currency turmoil in which many Zimbabweans lost their life savings and causing most Zimbabweans to even flee the country, coming to South Africa, going to the UK, some of them to the United States, some of them in some parts of the continent in Africa, trying to find a stable ways to try to make means of their economic lifestyle. Okay, and the government needs the ZiG to find a stable level of its eventual replace the US dollar as the country's dominant currency. You know, when I read this part, you know, I'm not from Zimbabwe. I don't know if Zimbabweans, when they say here the government needs to find a stable level of if it's to eventually replace the US dollar. So I'm thinking, do Zimbabweans have like the actual US dollar that Americans use in Zimbabwe that they can buy and sell with? I think I once heard someone saying, but I was not sure, but it was a long time ago. But if you are someone from Zimbabwe, please just on the comment section, just write something there. If you are from Zimbabwe and you are watching the show, please just inform us and Empire Finance TV to tell us that are you guys using like dollar Benjamins? I mean, like using Benjamin Franklin's and the dollar, the actual dollar that Americans use, actually, just to as your currency in your country, because I'm not sure really, because they are still, if are looking for their own currency, but I'm not sure, because I once heard that story that Zimbabweans use the actual dollars to buy and sell the American dollars, not the Zimbabwean dollars, the American dollars. While Zimbabwe's currencies are always unstable. So I'll skip to that. we know exactly about the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe. Now let us read about the ZiG, the Zimbabwean gold. Okay, the ZiG started trading on April 8th at an exchange rate of $13.56. That is stronger than the rand. It started off very, very strong. Impressive stuff. It was promising then. It was in April. But now it's November. And things are different, as I'll show later on this presentation. To the dollar. With an international currency code registered as ZWG. Not ZiG. Okay, when you are looking for rate exchange, for currency exchange, you use this ZWG, not the ZiG. Then you'll see the actual information about this Zimbabwean gold. Banks, mobile money platforms, retailers, and other intermediaries gradually reconfigured their systems to take account of the new currency. Holders of Zimbabwe dollar accounts had their balances converted to ZiG. Okay, the change affected share prices on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange, which rebased its 56 listed securities. I do believe that the value sort of like improved at this stage when it was converted from Zimbabwean dollar, because the Zimbabwe dollar was a failure. It was terrible. It was much worse than this. Even now when I search online, it's hard to see that exchange that we used to see. It was with hundreds of dollars for one Zimbabwean dollar. Okay. Where does the ZiG value come from, which is important? The central bank said the ZiG would be fully backed by $100 million in cash and 2,522 kilograms of gold worth of $185 million. New banknotes were released on April 30th, and the central bank went on a publicity drive to raise awareness of the new unit. The foster demand Zimbabwe has made it mandatory for companies to settle at least half of their quarterly tax obligations using the new unit. Oh my God, such drastic changes. I think the Zimbabwean public were given 12 days to change it. I've seen some videos of it, to change it from Zimbabwe dollar to the ZiG currency. And is it working? That's the main question. It's been a mixed bag. The currency weakened steadily on the unofficial market after its launch, and the central bank was forced to devalue it steeply on September 27th. That's just 3 months ago. Now, when it kicked off, guys, let us keep in mind it was at the rate of $13.56 to the 56 to the dollar. But when I go to other articles, there were times where it was even getting even stronger than that, actually. On this article, which is another article that talks about more or less the same thing about the ZiG and its journey. Here in this article, Zimbabwe's new gold-backed currency faces early challenges. Okay, there were early challenges, but there were early victories at the same time when it came through. Here on this article, it says Exchange's reserves was launched at an initial rate of 13.56 per dollar. However, it is currently trading at 9.96 ZiG to a dollar. But now that was then, that was back in May, not now. So when it came out, it had that strong impact, and then it became even stronger, okay, at 9.5. But now in September, now 27th, as we read on the previous article, we find out that it was devalued by 43%. Okay, there was a 43% devaluation in the 27th of September. Okay, which at some point awakened people's memories about the past and how people lost their values and how they lost their their well-being, man, and their property. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have lost a lot, and that caused a massive migration within the country, people leaving the country and looking for better opportunities elsewhere for stability in their lives and their well-being. There are a lot of businesses that came from Zimbabwe coming to South Africa, but of course they faced a lot of challenges because they are foreigners as well. And as we know, that there is a very dark history with foreigners and South Africans here in this nation. It's a difficult one to talk about, the devaluation of 43% in September. And I looked into the charts, guys, and I looked at the exchange of the ZIG. There is the designation USD to the ZIG chart, or ZWG, Zimbabwean Gold chart. Currently, guys, the Zimbabwean gold for each dollar is at 25 ZWG or Zimbabwean gold. You get $1. That's not far off as the rand. Okay, the rand is currently trading around about 18 rands, 19 rands, but the Zimbabwean dollar is at maybe about 25, which is not quite bad as compared to the old Zimbabwean dollar. But what fascinates me is that other platforms are showing other information. I don't know if this information is updated, because investing.com is a reliable platform. And I was shocked to see that this is their current rate when it comes to the Zimbabwean dollar. There is it here. Sometimes they still, they still call it Zimbabwean dollar, as I would show on other data analysis as well. Zimbabwean dollar against the US dollar, they're like 30 USD, but we can see that it is 25 on this other chart. On this chart, I think they still need to update this data as well. As you can see, the currency is struggling to even seize itself on reliable data as well. So you need to be careful where to look. But I looked on this exchange, which is XE. I trust XE more than I could trust investing.com at this point, because investing.com is not reliable in that sense, because they still need to update that data right there. I think this data is most accurate. As of 19th of November, we have an exchange of 25 ZWG against $1. That is the rate between the ZWG and the USD. But when it kicked off, as you saw on the article, it was at 13.56 when it kicked off, and it even got stronger at 9.96 at some point. But then again, I looked at the exchange rates on Google just to see that, let me see if everything matches from XE to Google. And Google data always updates itself from time to time, which is a good thing, which is something that I want to also share with you guys, just to show you that this data that investing.com is putting out is not as accurate as it should be. But yet investing.com is one of the reliable sources to release this kind of information. 1 USD, yes, 25, as you saw on XE. But you see now, what confuses me sometimes, it's still referred to as Zimbabwean dollar. I don't know why they should put Zimbabwean dollar still. They need to put Zimbabwean gold. So I typed Zimbabwean gold for another search, just to see that, okay, there is it, Zimbabwean gold on this search, and it still shows the same information. So it is still referred as the Zimbabwean dollar, though it has been changed and reformed to a new currency that is better suited for the gold. But yeah, let's see what happens to this struggling economy and its currency, and let's hope that the Zimbabwean gold, at least this time, does well. And it stabilizes since it's backed up by its gold. of the country. I believe that Zimbabwe has enough gold to back up this currency, but there is still a lot of work that needs to be done when it comes to this currency alone. So there are a lot of challenges. Please tell me what you think about this situation in Zimbabwe on the link section. Please also do subscribe. Please do click that like button. Empire Finance TV, thank you very much for joining me. Until next time.